Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a beautiful July 6th, 2021. Coming up this episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast, Evisceration. Walk the lines or else. Are we being spiritually attacked, emotionally attacked? Well, of course we are. We are economically. All that and more coming up in the show. Please stick around.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast, a Canadian veteran's point of view on political, social, economic issues and life. Here's Crusty.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Crusty Canuck, episode 139. Listener and viewer discretion is advised. I do some nasty gestures and I use big words, and I do claim fair use notice for the sake of sarcasm, education, and all that other good stuff, just to bring to you, my listeners and viewers alike, information from my point of view. And if you like and hear what you see, please click like, subscribe, share this all around all social media platforms. Try to get the algorithm going in our favor to make us young guys and, well, not so young guys, but independent folk, to get our words out there so you can all enjoy. And we're carrying on. Episode 139, evisceration. We all know that means disemboweling, basically. And the way I look at society today, especially here in Canada, I'm not seeing too much when it comes to actually looking at the welfare of the people. Now, let's summarize what's happened the past couple of weeks. We've had some nasty fires in BC because of the heat. Some would say it's because of climate change. Others would say it's because of arson, right? There's been bodies discovered at certain residential schools, or what formerly were residential schools. And there's a lot of speculation, a lot of anger, a lot of hurt out there. I, for one, am angry and I'm hurt too. Not just because of the recent discoveries, but the past year or so in our political theater. It's been nothing but a shit show. How else do I sum it up, ladies and gentlemen? How else do I sum it up? This past week has been an interesting one, too, because yours truly here, Crusty Canuck, was recently just let go from his position at a small little shop here in my area. And some of the people I've talked to, my wife, my psychologist, because like I said before, ladies and gentlemen, I do suffer from PTSD. So I'm not as sane, but I'm not crazy either. I do have my issues. But enough of this self-confession and self-loathing. I was recently let go from a position because I don't fit that company's brand because of my outspokenness towards the mask. And even though I had a mask exemption, and this company said, oh, well, we've accommodated you on this journey, I still had to wear the mask. So if you're going to accommodate somebody on said journey to make their medical welfare and their well-being good, would you not literally look at the advice of a medical professional and say, okay, you don't have to wear your mask? Anyhow, I think it's just basically full of rats and Carls and Karens out there that have nothing better to do except point fingers and blame, all in the name of panic and the virtual safety that our government keeps ramming down our throats. Okay. And I've had a day to think about it. And yeah, I'm mad. Yeah, I'm pissed. Yeah, I've done my share of self-loathing, mea culpa, self-flagellation. And for what? It's just a job I needed, however, a job that I looked forward to going to every time I had to work. Right. And if anybody in that circle is watching this podcast right now and you care to rebuke me on said things, you're more than welcome to. Okay. I've stated my case. I stood by my morals and my scruples, but I guess that wasn't good enough for said overseers of said company. So be it. That's fine. Now, I'm not going to slam said company. I'm not going to give the company a hard time. However, there's some individuals that I know that were part of the problem and yet never presented a viable solution. So I'll keep that in the back of my head and I'll remember that next time. The next time somebody needs a favor or somebody wants to say hello and have a little talk, Yeah, I'll give him a talk. Anyways, I'm digressing. Like I said, evisceration, disemboweling as we see it. So in the news today, Miss Mary Simon, an Inuk leader, well-educated lady, has now been appointed the Governor General of Canada. Well done. I would say well done because I think it's about effing time that the federal government did something like that. Actually appoint a First Nations member to such a high position. I'm thinking, yeah, that's a good thing, right? Yeah, of course. Yeah. Really? Yeah, I don't have a picture of her right now, but I'll leave a link in my description, as always, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm thinking, well done. You know, she's educated. She speaks English, her native tongue, Inuk, I believe. And I don't think she speaks French. But I think there's another dialect she speaks as well, based on the information that I saw on CTV this morning. I'm thinking, well done. But I also personally think that's a little overdue as well. Okay, this is something that should have been done years ago. Okay, considering we live in this day and age of political correctness and how to think and group think and mob mentality and what's racist, what isn't racist, what's this, what's that, blah, 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 fucking blah. It's overdue. It's something that shouldn't have done. And I can honestly tell you my point of view on this, ladies and gentlemen, is that the powers that be, Justin Trudeau and his potato farm aficionados, you know, his appointed cabinet based on parity rather than actual quality of work and merit, are doing this for the sake of brownie points for a possible upcoming election. Okay. Now, I'm not saying she's not qualified, Miss Mary Simon. I probably think she's more than qualified, to be honest with you, regardless. Okay. And I think she would bridge a notable gap when it comes to relations. But I want to see her in the public eye, and I want to see her take part more so than any governor general in our history. Okay. And I also like to see her put the monarchy on the spot too, when it comes to finding the truth and reconciliation, just like all these leaders keep talking about. Okay. Finding the truth. What happened, where it happened, why did it happen? Let's find that out. Okay. And all these individuals that have weighed in on social media, like talking about how the burning was a good thing, or they can understand why people did that. Well, I can understand why someone would set fire to a church, but that doesn't mean I'm going to say it, you know, in a public format, i.e., if I was being interviewed as a leader of a country or leader of a province. Okay, I can understand the anger and the rage, but that does not justify it at all whatsoever. Like I've said this in the fastball with Adam, it's not justified. How is it justified? Regardless of the history of the situation, regardless of what happened those years ago, I ask again, is that going to bring back the honor and the memory of those fallen? Is that going to honor the memory of the people that died in that area? We still don't know exactly how many persons are there and what they died from. So let's get the forensic teams going. Let's get the people out there to find out and dig up the remains to see what the fuck happened. And while we're doing that, let's try to find all the records and who signed this and who signed that and who wrote this off, regardless of party or affiliation.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
As I say again, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't matter what party, what prime minister was in charge, what provincial government was in charge or not. If we're going to find this truth and reconciliation, let's stop eviscerating people and get right to the fucking point. Okay, so let's hope this Mary Simon lady can actually do something beneficial rather than Julie Payette and her fucking spaceship continuum bullshit that she promoted a year and a half ago, if you all remember that speech, right? And let's start getting down to the brass tacks of who's responsible for all these endeavors. Okay, but I'm not going to sit and dwell in the race baiting synopsis, and I'm not going to sit and worry about what color of person's here and how many people of this are there, or how many people of these are here or there or over on the top shelf. I don't care. I want to see more qualified people in this country calling the shots. And I had some great conversations with my friends on the Signal and the Telegram there. And some interesting people weighed in and gave me some good advice. You know, and just to remind me too, the attacks that we have all been receiving lately, this whole cancel culture conundrum, this whole cancel this and cancel that, They don't have the information to find how much money we're going to need later on down the road, but they have all the means and the technology to find out who tweeted something 10 years ago. And they want to cancel that person for doing it, or these group of people or that group of people for saying it. And they also want to disenfranchise people who have a different point of view when it comes to looking after other people. Okay. And I've sat in anger the past 24 hours about this. Like really just pissed at things. And I'm not perfect. And I don't expect everybody that I meet or I work for to be perfect. But I fucking expect people to be honest and to show proper integrity and intestinal fortitude when it comes to getting things done. Now, maybe that's because I've spent all that time in the military, and the military life is kind of black or white. You know, you either do or you don't. If you didn't do it, then you get punished. If you do it, okay, well done. And there's never really that room for a lot of gray matter. I get that. But in the same sense, it's like I show up to work on time, did my job to the best of my ability. If I had a question, I would ask. If I wasn't sure, I would ask. Okay. And then the little report that I got was, well, it wasn't really precise. It was more of a broad speculation, if anything. And I'm going to hand that report around to some important people that I know and see what they say. I've already given it to 2 individuals that looked at it going, what the hell? What the hell is this? You know, you made this mistake, but they never brought that to your attention. You did this and this never happened. What gives? So to summarize it, it was basically just a half-assed report to get me out of the way. Okay. And that's the thing. And I question the mask issue because it's getting to a fucking point where it's getting ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. And the science is out there that proves that these masks are not efficient anymore, regardless of what social spectrum you're in or what conglomerate you work for. Okay. So the individuals that know what I'm talking about, please weigh in. Let me know exactly what you think. Okay. Let me know what you think when it comes to this, because it's really getting just ridiculous. The amount of fear and the amount of the notional Carls and Karens that are out there calling the shots for you and I. Okay. And I'm talking Carls with the K and Karens with the K. Now, I personally know some decent human beings that call themselves Karen. That's the name they were given. They're born. Okay. But I'm not, you guys know who you are. I'm not blaming you. Right. It's the figureheads of today's social justice spectrums. Okay. It's just getting just truly fucking ridiculous. Okay. These are the same people that get all excited and everything when they're doing their part for the vaccination. Okay, that's great. Okay, they got vaccinated. I get it. That's fine. And that should be your choice. And it's really nobody's business if you have it or if you don't have it. Okay? Your personal medical information is for you to either volunteer or not volunteer to share with people. Now, I volunteered some of mine to back up my story here. That's fine. Okay? I'm not getting the jab on my principles. On my personal principles, I'm not getting it for the sole purpose, especially now when all governments in this country have offered you things in return. Would you like that cheeseburger? Would you like that steak? Oh, would you like that pizza? We can give you concert tickets. We can give you a case of beer. We can give you hockey tickets. Oh, well, in Manitoba, we'll put you in a lottery. In Alberta, we'll put you in a lottery. Ooh. Sounds fantastic. Sounds kind of sexy, doesn't it? It sounds, oh, wow. This sounds so magical. I mean, if I get the jab, I'll get myself a chance to win $1 million. Oh, my. Wow. Fantastic. And then what? We snap out of it. That's what. I hope. But who knows exactly what's going on here, ladies and gentlemen. So back to my point, the evisceration. The disemboweling of things, right? And that word came up when I was talking to my friend Jilly there, and it kind of stuck. And like I do see spiritual attacks. I do see emotional attacks on people too. And you've heard my ramble on about religion, and you've heard my ramble about my beliefs in certain things. Now, I would say a majority of Canadians, and to my American listeners and my European listeners alike too. Okay, I'm trying to include, like-mindedness here. There is a spiritual connection to things that we enjoy in our lives, not just from our family and what we like to watch on television or our favorite movies. A spiritual connection when it comes to going outside, to swimming, to scuba diving. I love my fucking scuba diving. So the connections that I feel doing that, the connections I felt when I was coaching and playing soccer, coaching and playing lacrosse, the spiritual connections I had with the brotherhood that I was part of, and sisterhood too. Okay. Because I worked with some incredible human beings while I was in the military. And because of my OSI, it got compromised. That happens. But needless to say, I reflect on those days and I worship them dearly. And the connections I have with my family, my friends too, where we can just go and listen to a good piece of music and just go, yeah. Hear that solo? Fucking fantastic. But now our spiritual connections are getting thwarted again with what I just mentioned earlier. Oh, if you get the jab, we'll give you this pie. Oh, if you get the jab, oh, we'll give you this cheeseburger. Ooh, pie. Oh, another jab, another jab. You get 2 jabs. You get a chance to win $1 million. What the hell is that? So it's not just an attack on our freedoms, ladies and gentlemen, an attack of our well-being. It's an attack of our spiritual and our souls. We got to find the light. And we got to find that light soon. Because I'm really starting to doubt parts of our future here, ladies and gentlemen.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
I had a fan there actually this morning write me a beautiful email. He more or less wrote a great big giant essay on just his perspective kind of thing. It's a couple page, it's actually a 2-page long email. It's probably the longest one I've received in a while too. And he asked me if I could read this on the show for you all. So I put together a little montage as best I could for you guys to enjoy as I read this beautiful essay. It kind of brought, it did bring a little tear to my eye. It brought a little butterfly to my stomach on how well this individual wrote this little essay talking about his life and what he holds dear and how he values this and values that. And I'll read that for you momentarily, but carrying on again with the evisceration, walking the line or else. And that's what it's coming to. It's coming to more of the whole do as we say, not as we do, and everything will be just fine. Do not question the abilities and the authorities invested in this company or in this municipal government. We know how to work you, and you will do it and like it, jawohl. As little Artie Johnson would say from laughing, very interesting, yeah? It's kind of ridiculous how it works, but I think you catch my point, ladies and gentlemen. I think you catch my point when it comes to who's calling the shots for us. Now, this summer, we've got some more liberties, especially out here in Alberta, which is nice, you know, to my American listeners out there. Yeah, there's a little more freedom out here, but there's a lot of people are quite unhappy with our health minister here, too, in regards to how they arrested pastors and parishioners of the Christian faith. And I don't buy the whole it's understandable thing for burning down a church, regardless of how angry you are. And there's people I went to school with that happen to be Catholic. They didn't go to Catholic school, what have you, but they happen to have some deep religious ties. And it's not so much the church's influence in their lives. It was the overbearingness and the fear that they were constantly told about as they were growing up, which annoyed me, which has annoyed me, still annoys me the most when it comes to organized religion. To my Christian friends out there, this is not a diss to your faith. Go with your light, do it well, do the best of your ability, preach your gospel, and walk your fucking truth. Okay? Pardon me for swearing. But I think you understand where I'm coming from here. Right? I think you understand what's going on when it comes to that. But I'll read this essay momentarily. And I want you, my listeners, to decide where I'm coming from here. So here, bear with me. Just bear with me here, and we'll get some more. Just queuing up the page here. Yeah, pardon my French. Anyway, carrying on. Here we go. This is from a man named Ken. My name is Ken. I'm almost 51 years old and was raised in the east, in the north central part of the province, on the most beautiful salmon and trout-filled rivers anyone has ever seen. My roots run deep in this country. My great-great-grandfather poled up the river, chopped out a home, and raised a family. Then my great-grandfather and my grandfather after that. Things were very different in the 70s and 80s when I grew up, as I'm sure were for everyone when they were young. We spent our time either on the river or some brook with a fishing rod, on the river in a canoe, or in the woods back in the mountain with a rifle and an old shotgun. The little village I grew up in had about 150 people, give or take, spread about 3 miles or so along the old river flat. Now people always make jokes about other people, races, religions, etc. I'm sure the people from other places did the same. There were no minorities of any kind living there. Now, that being said, I don't know one of those people that would have turned on anyone, regardless of race, religion, or creed, anyway, excuse me, in a time of need. I was raised by my grandparents, who always taught me respect for my elders, took my hat off in the house, and helped those in need. That was normal to us all. I was fortunate enough to have been raised by my grandparents. Grandpa's old school, born in the kitchen in 1912. Grandma was an Acadian from the North Shore along the coast. So yeah, Graham was the only French person there for a long time. Imagine moving to an English place in about 1952 with a man that had an ex-wife and a mostly grown-up family that lived across the river, and she could hardly speak any English. Graham was a tough little French woman. Both of them had 13 brothers and sisters. Like most of the families there, most had or knew someone who went to war. I myself had 8 great uncles and 1 great grandfather that fought for this country. My great grandfather on my dad's side was a mule in World War I, hauled supplies to the front lines. I believe there were 4 of Gramps' brothers and 4 of Graham's brothers that were all in World War II. If you Google World War II stories / Gilbert Kenny, there'll be a picture of my great uncle. Click on it. There's a recording of him telling the story of running away at 16 years old to fight for our freedom. He tells of the hoops he had to jump through just to get into a uniform. Then when he finally was accepted by the Navy, his ship was sunk on his deployment by a German sub off the coast of Nova Scotia, and he floated in the ocean for 3 days until he was found by a ship. Then went back and got another ship and went to war. His brother saw many battles in a tank. The other 2 were on the front lines. My great uncle was on the beach at Juneau, and his 3 brothers all saw gunfire. Luckily, they all returned. I knew most of these men, and knowing what I know now, they were never shown the respect that they deserved. Most of the old families in this area all have the same stories. The point I'm trying to make is that there's a hell of a lot of Canadians that have this story. Unfortunately, most of their stories ended up with a letter saying their loved ones will not be returning. Where do we all start to forget these things? Now we want to tear down monuments and statues because of the beliefs they held way back then. These people had their beliefs that taught them by their forefathers, and they did the best thing they could with what information they had at the time. I'm sure given the chance, a lot of them would have made some different decisions. It's how we evolve as the human race. My grandparents on one side were quite liberal, and the other side were mostly conservative, but neither one ever disliked each other. Both my grandfathers were good men, just different. Same with my grandmothers, both wonderful grandmothers, just different. I got most of those values. I have them all 4 of them. My dad's parents are still living together in their own house for almost 90 years of age. I guess the point of all of this, and why are these people out there that have the same story as me and so many others sitting back and along this new trending left-wing socialist takeover? Our elected officials are failing us like they've never have before. The liberal government is just a word now. There is not one liberal bone in their bodies. Most of our conservative officials have mostly seemed to be content to sit online and complain and point out things to us that we are very aware of already. Instead of actually making an effort to change it, just look at what Aaron O'Toole did to Derek Sloan and Pierre Poilievre. I thought they were on the same team, but the poisonous mainstream media called Sloan racist for raising a legitimate question that we should all be asking. Seriously, does no one see what's going on? They are taking away our free speech, our freedom to assemble, our freedom to religion. While some religions are exempt from this, they barricade other churches up, charge pastors and put them in jail. Who's deciding whose religion is more important? Another thing, when has it become acceptable for a foreign country to hold 2 of our citizens hostage in a communist rat hole prison while our government allows an international criminal to live in a mansion, allowed to go out and do as she pleases, go where she wants? When a few years back, our government gave up Mark Emery to the States for selling marijuana seeds. He got 5 years in prison. She should be escorted to the state's border and had her ass kicked across it. But that'll never happen, not as long as our child leader is in bed with the Chinese government, having their troops winter train here. People need to stop ignoring these things. Something I'd like to know is how a person on the FBI watch list for ties to terrorism is allowed to be a leader of a major political party in Canada. If by some disaster he was to become leader of our country, how would he be able to get together with the U.S. president? Yet no one seems concerned about this. If this doesn't show the agenda of the current government, I don't know what it will take to make people see it. Now let's talk about the blatant attack on our rights to defend our property, loved ones, and the ability to feed ourselves as we feel fit. We all have the choice in this country to go to the grocery store and buy our food there. Well, what about the people that chose to grow their own gardens and raise and or take from the land? Lots of people think that is unnecessary and it should be stopped. What gives them the right to tell anyone how to feed themselves or where they have to buy their hormone-infested, irradiated crap that you have to wash with hot water and soap before you can eat it? Another thing that are wonderful, name only, Liberal government has now, as if your grandparents and parents worked all their lives for the family farm just so they can't leave it to their kids. They can't afford the inflated tax bill. They socialists have imposed on us. So now your land defaults back to the government. No one sees this as an issue. Does anyone see these new censorship bills for what they are? They are selling them as they're trying to get rid of hate speech and or racism. It's really about being able to censor what we are allowed to see from the rest of the world so we can be controlled even more. I don't believe for 1 minute the great people of our country want this. If we don't stop these things now, our grandsons and granddaughters will be fighting a war that these tyrants have created. I don't want this for them. I want them to be free to hunt, fish, and enjoy a life free of media created fear that has become a big part of our lives. A country where we can still disagree without being shamed for it. All this being said, I think everyone needs to sit down and have a real good think on where we want this country to be when our grandchildren are running the show. If people play the racist card every time someone disagrees, where will we be? What is this teaching our children? These are just a few of the problems we are dealing with. Most of these problems can be solved with a little bit of caring and understanding. So instead of looking over at your neighbor and trying to find a fault or something to call the county or the police or whoever, why don't you try to see what they may be able to do to make their life a little bit better? Or if you don't agree with their way, then mind your own bloody business as long as it's not harming you. So try to keep that in mind. Just because you may have grown up in the city or you get your food from a store or in the country where your food comes from, a garden, and your meat from the woods. Everyone has a story, and your story is no more important than theirs. I love this country with all of my being, and it pains me deeply to see the state that things are in today. The hate that the current government, along with the mainstream media, are creating in a country that so many fought and died for, so we can be free to make our own choices. So please, everyone, just take a minute to think of all the fallen and the ones that were lucky enough to return to us. Think why they did what they did. And let's all pull together and make this country the truly great place that it used to be. Love your family, love your friends and neighbors. Thank you kindly, Crusty Canuck. Sincerely, Ken. Well, thank you, Ken, for that. That's much appreciated. And it was an honor for me to read that for you on your behalf here. And let's just say, the first time I read that actually pulled my heartstrings. That really did. And thank you, Ken, for sharing that with us. And if I can, I'll leave a link in my description to that essay for you all to read if you'd like. Or if you want a copy of that essay, please just give me an email. Just follow the links in the description there, ladies and gentlemen. And that's the thing. What are we going to be leaving our ancestors, our predecessors? What are we leaving our kids? What am I going to be leaving my nieces and nephews? That's the thing. Something to think about.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
That's the thing, folks. Just a well-written letter. Pardon my pronunciations there. I've had some issues with tobacco lately, so my breathing's kind of off. Anyhow, carrying on with the whole evisceration of what's happening to our country here. I'll say again, you'd be hard-pressed to find the majority of Canadians being bigoted towards these issues. And I'm happy that we have a lady by the name of Mary Simon that's going to be the Governor General. But I'm also saying, too, that's a little too late, Liberal government. Okay? Because we've seen what the monarchy influence has had on this nation. Now, for those of us who still, or those of you who still think that the monarchy is a good thing, that's fine. That's fine. I personally think we have to sever ties when it comes to the financial, the financial rewards that this country does give to the monarchy. As far as I know, I think it's like $37 million a year to the tune of that or more, plus other perks that is paid to the monarchy. Now, I can think of other things that could be used and created and done with that $37 million, i.e. clean water, for starters. Get that shit show on the go. Get that sorted out finally. Clean up the poisons that were left in certain rivers, especially around the reservations. Okay. And actually look at the books of some of these reservations when it comes to who gets this money and where is it going to and where's it gone and why weren't things built? That kind of thing. So when it comes to responsibility in the governments, it's all up to us, ladies and gentlemen, to demand the answers, to demand it entirely, right? To keep things on the go as they should. But we've all seen this past year and a half, there's no accountability. It's just blatant racism, according to our powers that be, right? Just blatant racism. Oh, no, it's racist. Oh, no, it's misogyny. No, it's basic. It's basic irresponsibility. I've seen more discipline and integrity from teenagers than I have seen in this government in a very, very long time.
Well, smack my ass and call me Judy.
Exactly, right? So we'll put that in perspective. There's not going to be a Polar Vortex Award today. I was going to queue one up, but I don't know. I'm just not really impressed with a lot of things right now. So, I could blame the whole world for the Polar Vortex, but I'm not going to do it today. So next episode, I might have a winner of the Polar Vortex Award, but we'll see for now. But if you get a chance, ladies and gentlemen, please consider donating to the show if you can. Like I said, I just lost my job. So I'm not going to sit and cry in my oatmeal and, expect a slap and tickle anytime soon. But if you feel like donating, please donate. I'm about 8,282 subscribers so far on YouTube. And it's because of people like you, my viewers and my subscribers, like they've made that happen. So give yourselves a round of clap. Thank you very much for all those kind words, and especially you, Mr. Ken, for sending me that wonderful email. Thank you very much for that. But please consider donating too. There's a link rolling at the bottom of the screen there, crustyconnect.ca donations. And just a reminder too, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to join me on Supercast, you can too. It's a Canadian-based company supporting Canadian podcasters. $5 a month gets you all of my audio episodes censorship free. Let's just hope C36 doesn't get passed somewhere behind the closed corridors of this summer. We'll see. But please join me there too. Or if you want to join me on PayPal, please donate what you can. My ultimate goal is I'd like to make a living out of this, to be honest with you folks. I would like to make an honest to God college try living out of doing a podcast. And it's going to take listeners and viewers such as yourself to make that happen. Now, I'm not demanding cash. I'm not demanding it. But if you feel like donating and you have it in your heart to donate, please do. Please do. You help me along the way so I can create better and eventually some really cool content in the future too. So please consider that. And if you want to get a hold of me, please use my email, crustybcanuck67@gmail.com. Send me your thoughts, your queries, questions, answers. Hell, if you got something nasty to say, bring it to my attention. We'll maybe have a polite little debate. And the floor is still open too, ladies and gentlemen. If you know any federal or provincial liberals out there, okay, I want to engage with me in a debate on the status of things in this country, feel free to. My door is open. Okay? Feel free to. I encourage it. Okay? We can sit all day and talk about the cows coming here and cows coming there. When it comes to it, we need to find the facts and figures and take proper action. Now, I refuse to pick up the notional brick and throw it. I refuse to. I refuse to be violent in these trying times because I've seen the results of said violence. So I know. And we've all seen the mainstream media when it comes to how Minneapolis was treated after the George Floyd incident. We don't need to come to that. Okay. But I also want to see more of our federal politicians chastise and condemn the church burnings and not just the polite way of saying, oh, don't do that. That's just bad. Get out there and condemn the shitheads for doing it. Because I know for a fact, okay, if somebody did the same thing to a mosque or a synagogue or anything other than a Christian church, they'd be held to pay. It'd be all over the mainstream media. So let's get our priorities together here too. It's a place of worship. It doesn't matter if it's Christian, Muslim, or Jewish, or Baha'i, or Scientology, or Sikh, or Buddhist, or sun worship, or lemon worship, or monkey worship. It doesn't matter. It's a place of worship that should be respected. And there are a lot of First Nations in those areas that relied on those churches for some social support in these trying times. So basically, you're taking the food from people that need it. Okay? So something to think about, ladies and gentlemen. And in no way am I condoning anyone to hurt anybody else for that matter. But when you have people that are in charge of these liberties and people that represent the Queen's bench, whether it's for the defense or prosecution, and they're sitting there trying to justify a crime, maybe we should really think about who we appoint in our law courts too, and who gets appointed in those law courts. Something to think about, eh? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I have been Crusty Canuck on this beautiful 6th of July, 2021. Weather's getting better here. I know my garden has some great rain on it, so I can see my plants starting to flourish right now. I might plant some more beans the next couple of days. Hopefully they'll meet the deadline in September. Needless to say, I might even brew up some mead too. I've got the recipe for it and I got all the ingredients. So hopefully by this Thanksgiving, I'll have some nice festive mead to sit with my wife and enjoy with a nice turkey or a roast. We'll see. But like I say, folks, we got to do what we can, and we're going to be finding the light in this fucking darkness. We are. But there's also something telling me that something bad is on its way. So the best thing to do is prepare for it. Keep a few bucks aside, keep some food stores aside, keep some fuel aside, just in case. All right, but we'll get through this. You know, we are a resilient bunch, and my American friends, the same thing for you guys too. Things will get better. I'm hoping they get better. And my door is still open too. If any veteran out there, doesn't matter if you're male or female, and you've had a situation or you've been in a situation you really don't want to talk about and you want to talk to somebody, let me know. Okay, just follow the email at the bottom of your screen there and do what you can to help each other at the best of your ability. But without sounding like a broken record, like I always say, ladies and gentlemen, do what you can to help each other at the best of your ability. Look out for your neighbors. Give a little incentive once in a while and give a little hand. Help a neighbor cutting the grass or watering the lawn or watering their gardens. Run some errands for some seniors you know there. Ask if anyone's doing okay and actually really mean it. Set a better example than those people in fucking Ottawa. Okay? Anyway, I've been Crusty Canuck on July 6th, 2021. Stay tuned for my community page for updates considering I've lost my job. I can do the Sunday fastball on a regular basis. So every Sunday, tune in to Fastball Sunday with Crusty Canuck and Adam Daniel Mezei. And I'm trying to get a new panel together too. So stay tuned. Updates on my Facebook page and YouTube page in the community section for updates on that as well, ladies and gentlemen. And it'll still be the same panel again for 3 or 4 of us ranting and complaining and finding solutions to the national and emotional and social financial issues that are plaguing this country today. So pay attention to that as well. Like I say, look after your friends and loved ones. Do what you can to help each other the best you can. And remember, humanity merit wins the day. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Aye, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
This has been another episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast. Stay sane and thank you for listening. From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast.